Good people, welcome to Mose Knows. I am your host, Mose. Today, we're on another episode of the 2021 NFL Draft Grades, hosted by Professor Mose. I am your esteemed professor. I'm handing out draft grades, and our division of focus today will be the NFC North. That's right, the Vikings, the Bears, the Lions, the Packers. Let's not waste time. Let's jump right in. We're going to start with the Minnesota Vikings. First round pick, number 23. Now they were at, what were they, 14, I think? The Jets were at 14. They got a call from the New York Jets. Say, hey, look, we got a couple picks for you. We trying to jump up. Y'all trying to, play ball? Y'all trying to help us out? Yeah, I mean, what y'all got? I don't have the terms of the detail. All I know is they made some work. Jets moved up to 14. They took Elijah Vera Tucker. And then the Vikings moved back all the way to 23. Now, I wanted them to go offensive line at 14. I figured, they lost a couple pieces. They got to protect Kirk Cousins. They got to open up holes for Dalvin Cook. Offensive line got to be the pick. I didn't think this guy was going to fall, but he did. And the Vikings got him at 23. I think that's a great pick. They take Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. I had him going top 15, but he was able to fall to 23 to the Vikings, so that's awesome. Vikings had no second round picks, but they had 4 third round picks. The first of which went to Kylan Hill, quarterback out of Texas A&M. Then they select Chaz Surratt, linebacker out of North Carolina. Then they select Wyatt Davis, guard out of Ohio State. And then finally in the third round, they select Patrick Jones II, defensive end out of Pittsburgh. Then they had 3 fourth round picks. They take Kene Nwangwu. I'm going to say Nwangwu, running back out of Iowa State. Cameron Bynum, corner out of California. A Janarius Robinson, defensive end out of Florida State. And then Amir Smith-Marset, wide receiver out of Iowa, was in the 5th round. Second 5th round pick, they had Zach Davidson, tight end out of Central Missouri. And then lastly, in the 6th round, they select Jalen Twyman, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. A lot of names on this list, a lot of names that's difficult to pronounce, but let's go through. Again, Christian Darrisaw, I think he was a top 3 tackle in this class. You look at Penei Sewell, you look at Rashawn Slater, and then I think it was Christian Darrisaw. So for the Vikings to be able to trade back, acquire extra picks, and still get a guy of Darrisaw's caliber, I think is absolutely amazing. Kellen Mond, I think he may be a pick for the future. Who knows how long Kirk Cousins is going to stay around, or if the Vikings want him around for much longer. So I think you bring in a young quarterback because you give him an opportunity to learn under Kirk Cousins, and maybe he takes the reins in, a year or 2 years from now. Love the Chaz Surratt pick. I think he'll be able to learn a lot from Eric Kendricks. You put him next to Eric Kendricks in that defense, man, you got 2 athletic middle linebackers. Wyatt Davis falling to the 3rd round, I did not see happening. I thought he could go in the 1st round, if not the 1st, early 2nd. I think injury concerns dropped him down a bit, but Wyatt Davis was one of the best guards in this class. And I think if he's 100% healthy, he's a day 1 starter for that Vikings offensive line. Patrick Jones II is going to come in and provide depth and consistency on that defensive line as an edge rusher opposite Danielle Hunter. Going into the later round picks, I love Cameron Bynum. I like his selection here. I think he's going into a good situation in Minnesota. He doesn't have to, carry the load as the top corner. He just has to come in and play his game. So I think that's a really good pick. I wouldn't sleep on the Amir Smith-Marset pick out of Iowa. Shout out to the Jersey native. I'm going to Minnesota. I think he could be a solid option as a 3rd wide receiver. I think he can come in and challenge for that 3rd wide receiver spot on that team. And I love the Jalen Twyman pick. Obviously, he has some limitations as far as athleticism, but we know this for certain, especially from the Pittsburgh Pro Day. The kid is strong. He is solid and he is strong. And as long as he can push the pocket, collapse the pocket from that defensive tackle spot, and allow, whatever quarterback is in that pocket to move outside to where a Patrick Jones or a Daniil Hunter or an Anthony Barr coming off the edge would be, that's all you need him to do. Be stout in the run and collapse the pocket in the pass rush. Jalen Twyman definitely has the strength to do that. Love this draft for the Minnesota Vikings. I gave them a B+. Let's move on over to the Chicago Bears. Wow. Now, I think I mentioned this in my mock draft series. If you want to check those videos out, I have some playlists set up for my full first round mock drafts, but then also my team specific mock drafts, 2 different playlists. You guys can go check those out if you kind of want to see, what selections I made pre-draft, and what, NFL teams really did, and see where I was right and where I was wrong, kind of, cross-reference Mose, if you will. But I think I said something along the lines of this Chicago Bears front office, Ryan Pace, head coach Matt Nagy, they were in a desperate situation. The Mitchell Trubisky experiment at quarterback didn't work out. I believe the only quarterback that they had on the roster was Andy Dalton. They needed to do something. They were sitting at 20. Likely, they weren't going to be able to get a quarterback at that spot. So they did what was necessary. They traded up to 11 with the New York Giants, and they were able to snag Justin Fields. What an amazing move. Some may say it's not amazing because you did it out of desperation. You did it out of, failing at one end and trying to do something that was, rash to, make up for that mistake. But I think it was necessary. You couldn't sit at 20 and watch all of these quarterbacks go off the board and just shrug your shoulders and say, well, the board didn't fall to us that way. Sometimes you do have to be aggressive and go after what you need and what you want. And they did that, and they were able to get Justin Fields at 11. In the second round, they were able to get Tevin Jenkins, who I mocked to them in the first round if they stayed at 20. So they basically got 2 first-round talents with their first 2 picks. Absolutely amazing. They needed to upgrade the offensive line. I felt like if they didn't go quarterback in the first round, Tevin Jenkins would be the pick. He was able to fall to them in the second round, and they still selected him. Absolutely amazing. After that, there was no 3rd or 4th round pick. Obviously, those are picks that were used in the trade up with the Giants. So the next selection they had came all the way in the 5th round. They select Larry Borum, offensive tackle out of Missouri. Then they had 3 6th-round picks: Khalil Herbert, running back out of Virginia; Daz Newsome, wide receiver out of North Carolina; and Thomas Graham Jr., cornerback out of Oregon. And their 7th-round pick was Chris Tonga, defensive tackle out of BYU. I love the first 2 picks. Not really high on Larry Borum, but he can come in as depth for that offensive line. I love the Khalil Herbert selection. Yes, Chicago already has 2 running backs, but I think Khalil Herbert is just another option that they can run out there. We know running backs oftentimes, suffer a lot of injuries, whether it be hamstring, ankle injuries, turf toe, all kinds of injuries at the running back position. You can never have enough guys. A lot of teams are doing running back by committee. And I think Khalil Herbert offers some explosiveness out of the backfield, ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So I think he's a great addition to this offense. Love the Daz Newsome selection. I thought he could have gone higher in this draft. He fell to the 6th round, but I think Daz is going to come in and be able to compete for that 3rd or 4th wide receiver spot. Thomas Graham Jr., absolutely outstanding in the late rounds. Awesome cornerback from Oregon. I think he's going to come in and probably challenge for that nickel role. And we'll see if he's able to be successful in that challenge. And then you add a guy like Chris Tonga on that defensive line, another rotational piece. Again, you can never have enough defensive tackles. Keep those guys fresh because they are stopping the run and coming back after the quarterback all game. So you want to make sure, you know, your big solid bodyguards or your gatekeepers. Oh man, check out my Instagram and look for the video with Mrs. Mose Knows if you don't know what a gatekeeper is. Trust me, you'll get a laugh. But make sure you keep those big guys healthy. Make sure you keep those guys fresh. All in all, I gave the Chicago Bears a B+ for this draft. Trading up to get a guy like Justin Fields, still getting somebody like Tevin Jenkins, adding Khalil Herbert, Daz Newsome, and Thomas Graham. I think this was a great draft for the Chicago Bears. Something that was much needed, because if it didn't go like this, it may not be looking good for Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. But I think they bought themselves a little bit of time with this draft. Moving over to the Detroit Lions, who in the offseason traded Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff. I don't know why you would agree to that, but they did. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, they did the same thing, you know, that I mentioned in my last video, you know, at Baltimore. Orlando Brown Jr. requested a trade. You know, he had been a solid professional for them, and, you know, they felt like, you know, doing him a solid. And you cannot say anything bad about Matthew Stafford and his tenure in Detroit. As long as he's been there, as much as he's had to endure with that organization, he won it out, and they obliged. Sometimes it's just time for a new scenery, new places, new things, and that's all right. I wouldn't have let him go because I think he's better than Jared Goff, but they did him a solid, which is always good. So with the first round pick, the Detroit Lions decided, if we got to work with Jared Goff, we better protect him. And Penei Sewell slid all the way to 7. The Detroit Lions wasted no time, and they selected him. They got a generational left tackle for 12 to 15 years if he can stay healthy. Round 2, they take Levi Onwuzurike, defensive tackle out of Washington. And they had 2 third-round picks. They take another defensive tackle, Alim McNeil, out of North Carolina State. And then they take Fitu Melifonwu, cornerback out of Syracuse. 2 fourth-round picks. With the first, they select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver out of USC. With the second, they select Derek Barnes, linebacker out of Purdue. And they had no 5th-round pick, no 6th-round pick. And with their last pick of the draft, in the 7th round, they take Jermar Jefferson, running back out of Oregon State. Love Penei Sewell again, franchise left tackle. They beefed up the defensive line. They wanted to make sure, again, you can never have enough guys on that defensive line. You know, starters, backups, make sure your rotation is good. Make sure you're keeping those guys' legs fresh, so that they can continue to provide pass rush, collapse the pocket, and, you know, close off any running lanes that the running backs may have. So Onwuzurike and Alim McNeil, I think they're excellent picks. Fitu Melifonwu, I mean, the kid is a physical specimen. I think he's going to come in and challenge for that cornerback number 2 slot. Don't sleep on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, I know he's a 4th-round pick, but this kid is awesome. He's a great route runner. He has good hands. I love how he plays the game. I love his fierceness. I love his tenacity. The kid's a warrior. From a mentality standpoint, as physical and as fierce as he plays the game, Amon-Ra St. Brown reminds me of Steve Smith. He just has that will to win. He's going to beat whoever's lined up across from him. He don't care how big you are. He don't care how small you are. He don't care how long you've been in the league. He don't care what awards you won. He don't care if you got a Super Bowl ring. When you facing me, you going to lose. That's his mentality. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown's mentality. I think this was a very, very solid draft. I think they could have focused a little bit on the offensive line. They didn't focus on running back until the 7th round. They got Derek Barnes linebacker out of Purdue, but maybe they could have got a linebacker earlier on. So I love the draft. I think they could have focused on a few other areas, but I gave them a B. They got a passing grade from me and gave them a B. Absolutely love this draft, but definitely be on the lookout for Penei Sewell and Amari St. Brown to make significant impact in their rookie seasons. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers. The saga, the drama, the turmoil that is surrounding this organization right now. Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up to OTAs. Like the top 5 wide receivers also don't show up to OTAs. They like, listen, if Aaron ain't here throwing passes, then I ain't here catching. Y'all better get Aaron back in the building and then maybe we'll show up. I mean, plus these sessions is voluntary. These are not mandatory. I can voluntarily show up or voluntarily not show up. So they said, look, if Aaron ain't gonna be here, we ain't gonna be here neither, bruh. Them boys did not show up. Devontae Adams, Devin Funchess, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Alan Lazard, EQ St. Brown. None of them boys showed up. Green Bay need to figure out what's happening. They either need to figure out how to make Aaron happy, or they need to figure out a trade partner and just move on and just get Jordan Love in there and let him take over. I mean, I don't know why you would draft Jordan Love. You know, if you wasn't trying to have all this controversy, you had to know this was going to happen, but it happened. And then we get to the draft, and in typical Packers fashion, they don't do much to help out Aaron Rodgers. So with the first round pick, they take corner Eric Stokes out of Georgia. Listen, I know he ran a 4.2, 4.27, 4.28, 4.25, one of the 4.2 something. I know he in the 4.2s. I know he's fast. And that bumped him up to the first round. But I believe Eric Stokes is a second round talent. I believe his teammate Tyson Campbell was better than him. I believe Asante Samuel Jr. better than him. Those guys got drafted in the second round, whereas Stokes got pushed up to the first only because of his 40. And it doesn't do anything to help Aaron Rodgers. You know, he wanted a receiver last year, which was targeting Brandon Ayuk. 49ers traded up and drafted Brandon Ayuk, and that's supposedly the reason why you drafted Jordan Love. This year, you want to go after a wide receiver. All of these picks, you know, that you had, why not, you know, package some of them up and try to move up to make sure you can get a guy like Rashad Bateman, who went at pick 27, you know, 2 picks before you were going to select, you know, jump in front of Baltimore, try to get a receiver, maybe try to go even higher and get a Devontae Smith or try to get a Jalen Waddle. You wanted to go after a receiver, didn't go after a receiver until 3rd round. And Amari Rogers isn't a number 1. And yeah, I mentioned all of those guys, you know, who didn't show up to OTAs. But if you were looking at a wide receiver in the 1st round last year, I would assume you're looking for that guy again because, yeah, you have a bunch of role players, but no one who has stepped up as a legitimate number 2 option. Sometimes it's Valdez-Scantling, sometimes it's Alan Lazard, sometimes it's EQ St. Brown. Devin Funchess is in the mix now. He's a free agent addition, but nobody who really is stepping up as a number 2 option next to Devontae Adams. So you go Eric Stokes, who hopefully he pans out, but I didn't like that selection there. And then in the 2nd round, you go center Josh Myers, who's coming with some injury history. Landon Dickerson was available. Creed Humphrey was available. I believe he might not have been. But, you know, they were available in the 1st round. I think you can select at pick 29 if you don't go wide receiver. I wouldn't have been upset if they went Landon Dickerson or Creed Humphrey. You know, your 3 picks from the 2nd round, you know, those are the 2 best offensive centers in this class, you can get away with selecting a Creed Humphrey or a Landon Dickerson in the first round pick 29. So that's what I mean by they were on the board. They were available. They had an opportunity to select one of those guys. But you go Josh Myers, who comes to you with injuries. I do like the Amari Rogers selection. I think Amari Rogers is going to fit right in to that slot wide receiver role. And I think he's going to remind Aaron Rodgers of a guy that he used to throw to in the slot a lot, in Randall Cobb. I think he has that same type of gameplay that he can provide, same type of skill set as a Randall Cobb. So I love that pick in the third round. But could you have gotten a better receiver? Maybe somebody who's a true number 2? Absolutely. And then put one of the guys who you have on your option in that, in that slot. Maybe, obviously, you have a bigger slot. I think Valdez-Scantling is 6'3", Lazard is 6'5", EQ is 6'5", Funches is 6'3". So you just run with a big slot. But nonetheless, they get Amari Rogers. The Royce Newman guard in the 4th round, I do like that pick. Not too high. They didn't reach for him. They let him fall to them in the 4th round, pick 142. So that's solid. They had 2 5th-round picks to Darrell Slayton, defensive tackle out of Florida, and Shamar Jean-Charles, cornerback out of Appalachian State. 2 6th-round picks, Cole Van Lennon, offensive tackle out of Wisconsin, and Isaiah McDuffie, linebacker out of Boston College. And then the 7th round, they take Kylan Hill, running back out of Mississippi State. Not a fan of the Darrell Slayton pick. Not a fan of the Shamar Jean-Charles. And with the corners that you have on the team, and you already took Eric Stokes in the 1st round, I wouldn't have wasted another pick on a corner. The Cole Van Lennon pick is solid, but you have Josh Myers, Royce Newman, and Cole Van Lennon. I doubt that you're running out 3 rookie starters on your offensive line, especially in the division that they're in. It may be possible, but that doesn't sound like a solid plan moving forward for Aaron Rodgers, where you don't get him the offensive weapons that he needs. And then on top of that, you're putting 3 rookies in front of him. I'm sorry, that was a moment of silence for Aaron Rodgers. I like the Isaiah McDuffie pick. Old school linebacker. He's definitely a liability in coverage, but the kid hits. He's a tackler. He's going to have to work on some decision making. He's going to have to work on reading his keys, trusting his eyes. But he's a solid tackler. He's definitely going to provide a boost in the run game. Running back Kylan Hill. He's a rotational piece, but I think with the guys that you have there, he's not going to see too many carries. So all in all, I was not a fan of this draft for the Green Bay Packers. It's like they want to do right by Aaron Rodgers, but then at the same token, they want to do what they want to do. It looks, in some instances, it looks like they want to move forward from Aaron and just start fresh with the young quarterback and Jordan Love. But then at the same time, they don't want to look stupid and move off of Aaron Rodgers and it be a mistake. So there's a lot of back and forth, and it's all leading to an incoherent and an indecisive plan that doesn't make sense, and then it manifests itself in a draft like this. And this is 2 drafts in a row now. It's the 2020 draft and the 2021 draft where the Packers didn't do what they needed to do to make themselves a better team. I gave the Packers a C+. I was generous with the plus. I like Rodgers. I like Newman. I like Van Lennon, but running out 3 rookie offensive linemen starters is crazy. And I like McDuffie, but I gave the Packers a C+. I didn't like the draft. I thought they could have did better, and they just didn't do it. Okay, quick review. Vikings, B+. Bears, B+. Lions, B. Packers, C+. Those are Professor Mose draft grades for the NFC North. Let me know your thoughts. Is your favorite team in the NFC North? What did you give your favorite team? What did you give your arch nemesis, your division rivals? What grades did you give your division rivals? Fire it off in the comment section. Let me know. I love interacting with you guys. I love, all the commentary that you provide, your insight from your team. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and let's have a conversation about it. You can hit me up on all of my social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all of those. I'll link those down in the description box below so that you have access to those. Love and appreciate you interacting with me on those as well. You came through, you watched the video. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Your family now. There's nothing you can do about it. So I need you to do two things for me, family. I need you to hit that subscribe button, and I need you to take another 2 seconds and hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time new content drops right here at Mose Knows. Thank you so very much again, and we will catch you in the next draft grades video. We're going to the AFC South. See you then. Peace.